I love it. We're going to talk about measuring social media, the holy grail of the industry. What nobody really has a concept on how to do, and that's why I have the large room, I'm guessing. When I talk about social media, this is generally the reaction. Or it could be this. I see I'm not alone. I am going to go over about 4 minutes of basic social media, especially for those who are just here for the first time. And I got to talk to some folks like that after lunch. There's a third type of persona that I've run into lately. I'm curious if you have too. It is the type of person who says, yes, I know social media. Anyone run into those people? Yeah. We live in exponential times. I mean, things that took a minute now take barely a second. I'll give you a little bit about my background. I killed my background slide because it was boring to me. So I worked in knowledge management for Intel for a number of years. I'm currently the social media voice for Jabra Bluetooth at Jabra_US and Hello Direct. I do, some of you saw me at the 140 Destination Imagination is who I volunteer for, the creativity, teamwork, and problem-solving program for kids. And I've been doing measuring for a lot of things. One of my times, while I was at Intel, one of the first parts in my knowledge management essence were quantifying things that were not quantifiable. So this is, I feel so at home here. Right now, exponential times, this statement came from an educator, Carl Fritsch. He said, he started putting things on a grid. How long did it take to reach 50 million people? If you were the printing press, well, you took about 110 years. If you were radio, you took a whopping 38 years. Television took 13 years to get to that point. The iPod took 3. And if you happened to be Facebook, it didn't take 2 years. It took about 20 months to get to 50 million people. Of course, right now there are over 500 million people. If it was a nation, it would fall third, right behind China and India. Are you getting this at all anymore? I want to know. Yes, I can't lose this slide yet. Sad. It is, in Marta Kagan's words, a fundamental shift in how we communicate. We are going from talking at to what we've always done, talk to each other, but just now, really, really fast. Another way of looking at, well, if we're talking more amongst ourselves, what has to happen is there has to be a fundamental way the measurements have to change. The internet, Jeff Jarvis, who is a professor of journalism in New York, the internet is not just a medium, he said, but rather the internet is a place to meet, learn, act, react, and transact. And yes, I have the slide set posted already, so you'll be able to get it. More important than thinking of the internet as a place is think of it as being a place where people don't have to be with each other, reachable by computer or mobile internet. Now, you know this, but the big thing is, what else in your day-to-day life does this affect? First of all, it affects something really big because you can't measure people talking, meeting in a place the same way we measure newspapers. I've done a lot of years in radio before, and I will tell you that the radio and television measurements are based on newspaper circulation and newspaper metropolitan areas. That does not work with satellite radio. It does not work with about everything. So what are we going to measure here? Well, just to underscore, how many of you have seen this slide already? Okay, those are your early adopters. That big orange creamsicle almost like color are the 4.6 billion mobile devices that are online right now. Here are your larger networks, Skype with 590, Facebook with 500 million. The part of the circle that's leaning inside the creamsicle area, it's really more creamsicle on my LCD, but you got the gist. That's mobile devices. So you get Foursquare, Koala, Brightkite, Google Latitude, and Loop, they're all mobile. That's something else. When people are talking in real time, conversing in real time, and sharing information, how do you measure it now? Well, I'm going to just switch to something just to give you a feel on how quickly things are popping up. This wonderful little slide comes from personalized media. Gary Hayes over there. This is a second by second what's happening in social media right now, updated as often as they can. So since I started talking, there have been 14,000 text messages, 2.5 million SMS messages, 15,000 photos uploaded to Facebook. Content is being created by people faster than any company can or will create it. So guess what? You have the power that you always had, only now you're starting to know it. And I don't want that. So we'll continue on here. Now, if you work, knowing all that content, if you work for someone like this, or like that, or you just want that, then you have to work with numbers and make the numbers speak louder than words. This is the new analytics model, the best I can narrow it down. CRM, customer relationship management companies have, and they have been able to measure how much you buy, how long have you been with them, and a number of other elements that are just freaky. Social media, every time you put some information out, it can be recorded. Facebook is now, if you turn your privacy filter on, now appears to be actually blocking that. Psychographic information, whole different neighborhood of information. Your attitudes, values, and opinions, which are mineable. And then the business intelligence factors that they already know. This is scary cool, I'm sorry, but when you start dealing with your attitudes and opinions against your home teams and personality types, your buying history and other information they know, companies will have a much better way of identifying who you are. It's tying this up together and making it actionable within the companies, which, one, they're having a hard time doing. Todd was talking about it earlier. This is a bear. And there are going to be more wrong things than right things, but these are all measurable, they're all quantifiable, and they all have a margin of error. Forrester posted on their blog an interesting little post that if you look at the basic areas, financial, risk management, brand perspective, and digital perspective, there's one thing really missing. Directly financial, sales is directly missing. And that's because when you're measuring specific information, it may not have a direct attribute to sales. You may not be able to tie it directly to revenue right now without going through that other diagram. What they thought was interesting was, is there an increase or decreased profit tied to it? Not directly attributable to it, but at the same time. As an analyst, I can tell you, not fond of that if I had to make a number tied to revenue. But look at this one. Has a company enhanced its own digital assets? Digital assets. How many companies really think of digital assets? It's growing, but they're just talking about it in many cases. Risk management. Are you better prepared to fend off an attacker or an attack on your reputation? No one wants to think about that, but there should be a plan. And finally, have consumer attitudes about the brand improved? We're going to go back on this one in a little bit because we're going to start opening this up. This is, my diatribe's almost over. But where to measure first? Actually don't. Not yet. What are your business goals? Really, it goes back to what the company has to do to stay in business. What are the goals? Then monitor. Define your terms of engagement. When will you talk? When will you not talk? And measure. And this is what we're going to focus on. So, for example, what are your business goals? Are they market share? Are they brand recognition? Are they sales? More knowledge to know what's going on? Matter of fact, what are your business goals? Seriously, that's a question. This is the part where you come in and say, oh, Wayne, my business goals are? Sales, okay. I'm sorry for the delay. They child-proof covered the markers. I had a problem. So sales. I think I'm going to be typing this on.
Retention?
Say again, please.
Retention?
Retention? Retention, absolutely. Is there a difference? Do you think? I think I'm going to start typing real fast now. Do you think there's a difference in a B2B to B2C model? Business to business, business to customer? Yeah. Mixed answers, I'm getting yes and no. Yes?
Well, one of my goals is to be successful and get good ROI.
Okay, ROI. So you're measured that way. Anyone else? Recruitment. I am so going to type this, I promise.
Customer feedback.
Customer feedback? Can you be a little more specific?
Well, how customers are liking your product, whether they're not liking your product.
Okay, whether they like the product, whether they don't like the product. Actually, this is exactly the point I'm going to break out. I'm going to hold this here for a second. The monitoring, you need to listen first before you speak back. It's a really good idea. You learn a lot of things. One of the things I learned with a nonprofit is we had a micro-seasonality. Destination Imagination has 100,000 kids, 35,000 volunteers in over 30 countries. And what we found were there are segments of the year that people behaved differently and panicked about things that we knew, but not firsthand. When we were able to start measuring it, we were able to start fending it off with, in literature, online, responding in social media forums, engaging basically, and saying, hey, it's okay. It happens every year. You know, you're worried, can you handle, you know, letting kids do all the work? And then everyone complains no one's productive, but you get through the creative problem-solving issue. Monitoring platforms, and I have 195 different ones on my website because someone has 195 different ones on there, so I linked it, and I'll give you the link. Radiant 6, who I know is here, Scout Labs, Cap 11 are some good P models. Hootsuite and TweetGrid can be used as well to engage. If you want something cool on your desk for free, Tops, Twitterfall is nice, visible tweets, TweetGrid. There are all ways of finding out what's being said in real time, but they don't quite quantify as well. But all these allow you to engage and learn what's going on out there. And I think I better get into the nuts and bolts a little quicker. Yeah, that's the website up there. Beyond the .biz. And that's already posted, as are the slides. And I'm actually going to skip this part and go right into